The sun just came out. Now it's crazy bright. But in today's video, I'm going to be installing a push button starter for my 66 Ford Mustang. I got kind of used to having a push button starter with my Ford Lightning behind me, and I just really like the idea of this modification. It shouldn't cost much money and it shouldn't take much work. So here we go. After my horrible experience with installing the steering wheel, I just dove into this, and I didn't film myself taking this out. But this is the cigarette lighter, the OEM cigarette lighter. It's very easy to remove. The inner portion here just screws into this casing. You can see the threads. So what I did is I stuck my thumb into here, and I reached in the back side and just unscrewed it. It's really easy. So that's how I got this thing out. And then the switch that I picked up, it actually took a few tries of finding the right switch. I think I had 4 different switches before I finally selected this one. But this is a 22 millimeter switch. I'll have a link in the description below. I think it was $22 for 2 of them, but the 22 millimeters fits perfectly in that hole for the cigarette lighter, and you won't have to cut or modify any of your dashboard. I am really excited about this modification. So let's dive right in and get into the wiring. So here we are inside my Mustang, and I already have the switch installed. I already have it wired up, but without a relay. And it does work, but I'm actually gonna uninstall it right now and install a relay. I Googled it, and a starter solenoid can use 4 to 6 amps, and these are good at 5 amps. So rather than just risking it and getting stranded somewhere, I'm going to add a relay, and that'll prevent any issues from happening. But I thought I would show you the switch up close. It can be normally open or normally closed, and it says right here on the side of the switch, these 2 green wires are the wires that we're going to be using. These are normally open. If I wanted normally closed, then I would use the 2 red ones. So that just means if it's normally open, when you push, it makes a connection. If it's normally closed, when you push, it'll disconnect that connection. So we need normally open. And then for the light, the white one is going to get connected to the 12-volt ignition wire. So when you turn the key on, this will have power and activate the light. And then the black is ground for that same light, the little ring that goes around the switch. So that's all you need to know really about the switch. Now let's get into the wiring. So because this is already installed, I'm not sure if that'll help or hurt you, but here are the 2 red ones. Those are just capped off because I'm not going to be using those. And then for the factory wiring, it's kind of hard to see, but there is a black and green wire coming out of your ignition switch right here. This black and green wire is your switched ignition. So that's the one we're going to tap into to have 12 volts to this only when the key is on. That's how I wanted to wire this. I still want to be able to use the key. I don't want to replace or bypass the ignition switch at all. Still turn the key on, and then this will be active. So that is the black and green wire right there. So what I did currently, again, we're going to be changing it a little bit. I connected one of the green wires to that and the white wire to that. This yellow wire is going to my new switch panel that I'm working on. And then on the other side of the switch, the other green wire is right here. So this red and blue wire was the starter wire. So this wire has power when you turn your key all the way to start. So what I did is actually cut that wire out of the ignition switch. Let me show you the other side. I just put a butt connector on it. Oh, here it is right here. I just put a butt connector on it because I won't be using this anymore. This would still work. This will still have power when the key is turned to start, but I just won't be using that. Instead, the switch is going to be sending 12-volt power to the starter right here. So hopefully that's clear. That's how you can do it without a relay. Very simple, quick and easy to do. I seriously had this done in like 5-10 minutes. But after thinking about it a little bit more, I'm going to add a relay. So we're gonna do that next. So I've got pin 30 on this relay here. That's usually the pin that you send to the device you're trying to control or do something to. So I have that going up here. I've got a little butt connector, and that's going to the wire that goes to the starter coil. And right now I am working on the ignition wire. And this is a tip that I always share when I'm doing 12 volt stuff. I've been in the car audio 12 volt world my entire life, and this is just one of the tricks that I've used to make sure it's a secure connection. Of course, you can always solder too, and I would recommend that as well, but I don't really want to all the time. I don't feel like getting the soldering gun out. So if you just take a pick tool and you poke it right through the middle of the wire, it doesn't compromise the wire, nothing breaks or anything, and then you just take this and you slip it right through the center, you twist it around, and then you wrap it with electrical tape. It's hard to do that one-handed, so I'm gonna do that now. And that's what that will look like when it's all done. And I have this wire going to one of the trigger wires of the relay coil. So this is going to pin 86. And then the other yellow wire goes back over to the instrument cluster, which I'll cover in a different video, but I need accessory power for that as well. So now I'll wrap that with electrical tape. Okay, so now I have the ignition connected. I actually almost forgot to get the white ignition wire for the light on the switch. So had to take the tape off and put that on there. So now I have my wires going to switched ignition. So it's time to work on the ground. I'm actually gonna change it up just a little bit, because before I had positive battery power going through the switch, but this time I'm just gonna do a ground trigger, is what they would call it. It's a trigger for the relay. So remember, this is normally open. One of the legs, one of the sides of the switch is right here, and it's going to ground. So I joined it up with the black for the light, and it's going right up there to ground. Now on the other side, this one is going to go to this side of the relay. So hopefully that all makes sense. So when the key is turned on and turned to the on position, this wire will have power and the light will light up. When I hit the button, it's going to send ground to the relay, and the relay is going to take that switched ignition power and send it to the coil and start the vehicle. I don't remember if I showed you this, but this is just how I'm sending power. Hopefully you know how relays work if you're considering doing this, but you need whatever source of power on this side, and it's going to send it to this side. I think it's the simplest way that I can put it. The one pin in the middle we're not going to be using. That pin is normally closed. There are certain applications where you definitely will use that, but not in this one. If I put power to that one, the starter motor would just always be cranking. So let me get this all buttoned up and then we'll test it out. So there we are, got everything buttoned up in here. Got things wrapped with electrical tape. I'm going to wrap this relay as well, and I'm just going to zip tie it up in there somewhere, but it's time to give it a test. So turn it on, light comes on, and the car starts. And then to turn it off, you can just turn this like you would normally. Yeah, I love it. I think that's such a cool thing, and this literally cost me $22. Well, there it is, quick and easy. I hope you guys enjoyed that little tutorial. Just to let you guys know, there will be links for everything in the description below. So if you want to do this, I'll have all the links, all the stuff that you need. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Let me know if you do it and if it worked for you, or if you have any questions. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.